Hello and welcome back to my channel, Jada Creative Wonder. My name is Jada. I make videos about art and traveling and pretty much whatever I want. I'm being pretty loose with this channel because I don't really know where it's going. I don't anticipate being able to make money from it anytime soon, so I'm just putting out whatever I can think of to do. So, my last few videos have been about living in Taiwan and my plans for the future. And my last video I talked about my plans to travel. So I thought it would be fun to share my bucket list. So I'm going to start with the things that I see myself realistically doing in the near future, within like how much money I make and like where I will be in the world, and then get into the more distant future, that is places that are probably further away or will take a lot more savings to be able to do. Alright, so the first thing that I want to do is take a US road trip out west. So right now I'm living in Taiwan, but I plan to move back to the US in December 2021, and probably a month or so after getting settled back home, I want to take a long road trip out west. It's going to be a very long road trip when I do go, because I want to go through Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, all of those western states, and then go up the California coast. So, and I would probably stop in some of the cities along the way, like San Francisco and San Diego. And I would like the trip to end in the national parks in Northern California, like Yellowstone and Yosemite. So, that's a trip that I can do on a budget. I could camp most nights, and I could just eat simple things like sandwiches and whatever every day. I won't be eating at a restaurant most of the time. So a U.S. road trip I can do on the cheap. I think my main cost will be gas, and hopefully I won't have any car troubles, but I need to keep that in mind in my budget just in case. All right, so that's what I plan to do, in about a year and a half from now, and I really can't wait. All right, so the next thing in my bucket list is to visit Niagara Falls. This one I might actually do before my U.S. road trip. I have a friend that lives in Rochester, New York, and I'm considering before flying home to Mississippi that I could fly over to Rochester first and visit her for about a week, and I could rent a car and drive up to the falls for a day or two. Yeah, so, and since I'll be in New York State, I might as well also visit the city and see New York. New York isn't really something I'm super interested in. I would like to see a Broadway play and Times Square, but it's just not a big draw for me. But if I want to see my friend, I miss her, so it would be a great opportunity to also see the city. Though Rochester is pretty far away from New York City, so I would need to rent a car and drive into the city. Alright, the next thing is I'd like to take a cruise in the Caribbean. I'm from the Gulf Coast, so the Caribbean's like pretty close, so it wouldn't be hard to get a cruise. I would pretty much just have to pay for the cruise and maybe activities at the island stops. I wouldn't have to pay for a plane ticket to get to the cruise, because I'm already I'll already be up by the ocean. So yeah, I'm pretty sure there's cruises that take off out of New Orleans, and maybe some of there's probably some other options in the North Florida too. Another thing I want to do, I want to visit Cuba, and I want to stay there probably at least a week, and I want to scuba dive the coral reefs there, because apparently Cuba has one of the healthiest coral reefs in the world because they don't use chemicals in their farming. They do a lot of things in the old-timey, more natural ways, and that's better for our planet. So because of that, their reefs are a lot healthier than the rest of the ones in the world. So I would probably be able to see more vibrant colors if I scuba dive there. Oh, I should mention, I'm not certified to scuba dive, but I'm hoping to do so soon. I'm thinking of taking off work in October for a couple of days and getting certified. In southern Taiwan, there's a beach called Kenting, and there are businesses that do scuba diving certification, so I think I'll do that soon. Alright, so that's pretty much for all the more realistic trips that I will probably be taking in the future, in the next few years. Now let's get into the more, I guess not unrealistic, but it's just gonna take a lot more money and savings than these other trips. Okay, so the first and the biggest one would be Europe. Everyone wants to go to Europe, and there's a reason why. Some of the oldest cities in the world, some of the most beautiful architecture in the world, and classical paintings and statues, and some of the best food in the world. So ideally, for my trip, if I go to Europe, and I've chosen certain countries as my top priority because I don't know if I'll get a second chance to go once I do go, so I want to make sure I go to these. So I want to go to Austria, France, Switzerland, Italy, and Greece. Those are my top priority. Probably not in that exact order. Depending on where I land will determine the order. So Austria, because I really love the movie The Sound of Music, and I would like to see the house and the beautiful Alps there. So, and Switzerland, because Switzerland will be kind of similar to Austria, but apparently it's supposed to be even more stunning than Austria as far as the mountain views go. It's going to be more expensive, so worried about that. Switzerland's one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive country in Europe. France, because I cannot skip Paris. Like, everyone wants to go to Paris, so I gotta check out Paris. I might check out other cities in France, I'm not sure, but Italy, I want to go to several places in Italy. Northern Italy has mountains. Tuscany has the famous wine. Rome. Venice. I gotta see Venice before it goes underwater. And of course Greece, to see Athens. And some other countries that I would like to go to that are probably more affordable would be Hungary, Turkey, and maybe some other Eastern European countries like Romania and Slovenia. Romania would be a good option. I've looked at prices, and hotels are really cheap there. You pretty much have to rent a car though, because it's it's very, very much forested. It's the most forested country in Europe. 50% of the country is just forest, which is awesome. So I would love to see those forests, but for the most part, Austria, France, Switzerland, Italy, Greece are the main ones I want to see. I would also enjoy seeing England and the Scandinavian countries like Norway and Sweden, but they are really, really expensive. And Iceland, Iceland's really expensive, especially for food. Because almost everything's imported, so of course it's all going to be expensive. So maybe I'll see them, but they're not. They're kind of gonna be at the bottom of my priority list because it's just too much money, and when I could see a lot more places for less money. Alright, I also really want to see New Zealand. A lot of fantasy movies are filmed in New Zealand, like a lot of the Harry Potter movies, the Lord of the Ring movies, Bridge to Terabithia, all of those movies were filmed, at least in some parts, in New Zealand. And I think that's really cool. It really shows how beautiful the place is. So definitely want to see New Zealand. Like, the trees alone in those movies are breathtaking. Australia, because I want to see the Great Barrier Reef and go scuba diving there. There are other places in Australia. Australia's a big country, so there's mountains and forests and all sorts of things to see. So, not really well researched in the best places to go in Australia, but I'm sure there's tons of things to see. Alright, for my top countries to see in Asia, I really want to see Vietnam and China. Some people might be surprised that I didn't say Japan or Thailand. I guess I'm don't want to go to the same countries everyone wants to go to. I don't know why. I think my main draw to Vietnam is that my best friend in high school is Vietnamese, and she was born in Vietnam. She grew up in America, of course, and I also love Vietnamese food. I think it's a lot better than Taiwanese food, and I kind of like Japanese food, but I haven't tried a whole lot, so I don't know if maybe I just like sushi and nothing else. And it's has really great scenery. Ha Long Bay looks amazing. The scenery in Vietnam looks very similar to Thailand, but it's not as trendy as Thailand, so maybe that's why I want to go. And China, I mostly want to see the Great Wall and the Himalayan mountains. I know you can see the Himalayas in other countries. You can see them in Tibet, but it's kind of hard to travel to Tibet. You kind of have to go through a tour group, basically, to go to Tibet. And I think you can see them in Pakistan, too, in certain areas, but I don't know if I'm going to be going to any Middle Eastern countries anytime soon. If I do go to a Middle Eastern country, it will probably be Oman, because it's supposed to be one of the safest and most beautiful countries in the world. Alright. Okay, let's get into some Spanish countries, or Hispanic, Latina, whatever. I really, really want to go to Peru and see Machu Picchu. I also want to go to Bolivia. The videos I've seen of Bolivia are amazing. It has the most unique landscapes that I've ever seen, and I really want to see them in person. Alright, and the last countries on this list. So I needed to at least put some countries in Africa that I'd like to go to. It's mainly Egypt. I would like to see the Great Pyramids of Giza. Zimbabwe, Morocco, and maybe South Africa. I've heard it's beautiful, but it's basically a lot of these countries aren't going to be perfectly safe, but there's a reason why some places have a reputation for being less safe than others. So, if I go to Africa, I would want someone to go with me for sure. Same with the Middle East or even India. Some places I just feel like I would need a man to travel with. Maybe that's just me. There are solo female travelers who travel all over the world without a man, even in places like India, and I guess they get by, but I'm not strong enough. I'm not the kind of person who can easily put up with harassment. I don't have thick skin. I have very thin skin. So it doesn't take a lot for me to get upset and cry if something bad happens. So I'm just going to try to avoid places where there's a higher risk of bad things to happen. But that's just me. Alright, so let me know in the comments what is on your bucket list. Where do you want to go in the world? What's the first place you want to go to? Like, when this pandemic is not really over. I wouldn't say over because this virus isn't just going to disappear. But if things are safer and we can navigate the world without fear of infecting the people that we love with a dangerous virus, where do you want to go? For me, the first place I want to go is home, and then see the rest of the US. That's the first place. Alright. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out my other videos, and talk to you later. Bye.